This is Jenny Bell from Clarington, Ohio, and I'm listening to Barbecue Central.
Start the game! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
All right, good evening, and welcome to the Really Big Barbecue Central Show. It is the show that talks about all things important to the world of barbecue and grilling, originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I am your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard. Welcome in. Fun and frivolity is about to ensue. If you have always wanted to get in touch with the show through a phone call or an email, this is how you do that.
You can get in touch with the show by calling 216-220-0966. Email Greg at the BBQCentralShow.com. On the Twitter and Instagrams at BBQ Central Show.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening in case you can get the newsletter. Coming up in about 12 minutes from now, I have been teasing it for what appears to be months and months and months. And we are finally at hand where we get to interview what we call top men in the pellet cooker industry, specifically a company that has sponsored this show, and probably it's got to be going on, could it be 8 years at least? Very proud to have them. They are refreshing and or introducing a whole new line. And now it's time to get in touch with my guy, Jason Baker from Green Mountain Grills. We're going to be talking a lot about the Prime line. We're going to be talking some ancillary stuff. We might be leading off with something called the Big Pig, which is not a cooking event. I believe there is a Big Pig jig somewhere in Georgia. Is that the thing that Myron Mixon wins a lot in Unadilla or wherever the hell he's from? Big Pig jig. Sounds familiar. Anyway, Jason Baker will be joining me. We'll be talking a lot about the Prime. We'll be talking a lot about Green Mountain Grill in general and the state of the pellet cooker market, all that good stuff. So 14 past the hour, Jason Baker will be joining me. And then 35 past the hour, I will be joined once again. We were introduced to him last month. He's got a new book coming out April 9th. He is a backyard barbecue and grilling, not only enthusiast, but expert, cooking on some supreme cooking vessels. And if you follow him like many tens of thousands of Instagram followers do, you'll be happy to know that Matt Eads, the Grillseeker, will be joining me at 35 past. Specifically, and this subject might carry over into the second hour with a different group of people altogether, but specifically, we'll be talking about Sous Vide. It's nothing new. It's nothing that we haven't talked about on this show at various points over the last 24, perhaps approaching 36 months. I don't want to say hypocritical on Sous Vide because I wasn't against Sous Vide when it first came out, but I wasn't a huge proponent of it. I didn't really get it. I had a Sous Vide machine that I never used. That was my fault. But the way things are continuing to evolve in the sous vide market, especially when it comes to the actual heating units themselves. And I can easily convince myself that I should be way more into sous vide than I am. I can easily convince myself, what the hell are you doing? Why are you even bothering with this sous vide? Which is why it is still a great polarizing topic to once again revisit, and we will do it with somebody who I believe is more a proponent than a non-proponent of Sous Vide. That is Matt Eads from Grillseeker. And then we will move to the second hour. It is the first Tuesday of the month, and you know what that means. We are quickly closing in on what will be the last month of the first quarter of 2019, but the fourth quarter always brings a visit from the embedded correspondents, which everybody loves. Doug Scheiding, longest embedded correspondent from Texas. Steve Ray following up from Tennessee after that. David Huff from Oklahoma after that. And one of my older but newest reappearing embedded correspondents, John Solberg from the state of Michigan. And John also is the executive producer of the Best Moments of the BBQ Central show in 10 minutes or less that is released into the feed every Friday as well. And we have a number of topics to get into, not the least of which, and I don't know, I got something in my mouth that's driving me up the wall. I don't know if you're familiar with this term, barbecue entertainer. I'm going to leave it there. We will revisit it again in the second hour. That will be topic number one, and we'll see how it goes. Jason Baker, Matt Eads, embedded correspondent. If you want it, 216-220-0966. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com, the email address. Make sure you're following me socially at BBQ Central Show on Instagram and Twitter. Facebook/BBQ Central Show, which is where you might be watching this feed. Of course, I will remind anybody that's watching the Facebook feed, if you're leaving comments, I'm not watching it, so don't expect a reply from me during the show. If you want for me to potentially go and reply to something back that you are writing, hit the website and then click on the YouTube Live. That has a chat role that's way easier for me to follow, and I will go ahead and check it out there. If it's worthwhile, I'll mix it in for sure. But hit me up on YouTube. And as I had said last week, I'd like to invite more of you on the Facebook to actually come over to the YouTube so you can interact with some of the other folks that are in the chat. And you will also have the ability to put something up that I might be able to see what the deal is and reread it or answer it or whatever. So that's how you get the show. That's how you follow me socially. Let me take you on a journey back to last week's show for a moment, and especially for you guys who love to pick through the minutia. Towards the end of the show, frequent emailer and chat room participant on the YouTube side, John Dawson, said that he had attempted to make contact with one Sam the Cooking Guy to claim his free T-shirt after a couple weeks ago when I doubled down on my ask of Sam on where his selling of tacos was to break even in his restaurant venture. And John called me nosy and rude, and then after he got the info to contact Sam and the gang, said he heard crickets back. And I went on some kind of sidetrack spiel about how West Coasters have better things to do, like enjoying great weather, not getting bogged down by T-shirt requests, enjoying the beach and harbor seals and this and that. So because I support my fans and because I like John personally and privately, I reached out to Sam and said, hey, you know, what the F? John emailed you guys and contacted you per your request, asking for a shirt, said he's heard nothing back. Don't tell my fans to contact you and then blow them off. Well, I was sent a note back. And this is what it said, from Sam the Cooking Guy specifically. And I quote, Greg, here's John's email. Hey, Sam, this is John Dawson. I commented about Rempy being rude and nosy toward you on the show last night. I hit you up on Instagram at Dawson Creative, but you asked me to contact you here, which I guess is through the website. I appreciate the offer of the T-shirt, but that's not necessary. I was just calling it as I saw it. Best, John. John. Of course you heard crickets for them. You told them you didn't want the shirt.
Get that big stuff out of here.
You were just calling me a nosy bitch, and there's nothing to reply to. That's why they didn't answer. There was nothing to reply to. I don't know if you were hoping to spark up a quaint little back and forth about what a bag I am, but trust me, Sam knows that I'm a bag, and now he probably thinks I'm a double bag because I gave him some blowback on the shirt deal. John, I've been doing a lot of internet banning lately, and I'm not going to push over the edge here, but you're skating on thin ice after that stunt. Saying that they didn't contact you when, in actuality, you sent them an email saying you didn't want the shirt, which is what they were trying to give you for calling me a nosy bitch. You didn't leave them anything to react to other than saying, hey, I appreciate the offer. No need to send me a t-shirt. I'm just calling Rempy a bag. They agree. In principle, obviously, it happened right there on the thing. They just didn't answer back because I think it was assumed there was nothing left to say. You didn't want the shirt. Would say, hey, give me an extra large shirt. They probably would have came back at you and had a little back and forth. That's why you heard crickets. There's nothing to react to, John. Come on. Matt Eads coming up out of the break. But I will talk to you about Grillseeker first. I'm sorry, Jason Baker coming up out of the break. Let me talk to you about Matt Eads, the Grillseeker. New book, as I had mentioned. It's great already. I can tell you why it's great, because it premiered on Amazon as the #1 release in the barbecue and grilling section. It's called Grillseeker Basic Training for Everyday Grilling. Let me tell you a little bit about the author. From the battlefields of Afghanistan, Iraq, Somalia, Bosnia, to a state-of-the-art outdoor cooking kitchen, Matt Eads is looking to unite people through grilling, no matter our race, gender, sexual orientation, cultural upbringing, socioeconomic standing, or political affiliation. Cooking over fire brings people together. Undeniable. Differences get set aside. That's why you should pre-order your copy of Grillseeker Basic Training for Everyday Grilling right now. The focus of Grillseeker is to show readers that gourmet grilling doesn't have to just be a weekend activity. A lot of us think that. With Matt's tips and tricks, you can craft amazing meals and create amazing memories for your family and friends every night of the week. The memories and the camaraderie that grilling has created for Matt, dating back to his teen years through his time in the Marines, fuel the desire to spread his passion for outdoor cooking. They're also the reason he started the United by Flame movement on social media. You can find that by using hashtag United by Flame. As I had mentioned a couple weeks ago, some recipe teasers if you're looking. Grilled grapes and roasted garlic-infused ricotta crostini, a grilled Nashville hot chicken sandwich. I don't know if there's a bigger fan of Nashville hot chicken than me currently. Grilled peach boats with mascarpone ice cream. Huh. Again, don't forget about the hashtag United by Flame movement. Head to grillseeker.com. At the very top of his site, above the logo, click on the United by Flame link and then check out the page. Don't forget, you can send Matt a photo of yourself cooking in front of your own grill or barbecue pit. Matt will share it on that page. Then you become an official member of the United by Flame movement, being seen by thousands and thousands of unique visitors that grace his website, grillseeker.com. Again, the name of the book coming out April 9th, Grillseeker Basic Training for Everyday Grilling. Hook it up on Amazon. Keep running up the pre-orders. And we will talk Green Mountain Grills coming up out of the break. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting live from the BBQ Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the BBQ Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Welcome back to this portion of the show, being brought to you by Butcher Barbecue, makers of award-winning injections, marinades, rubs, seasonings, barbecue sauce, grilling oils, all of Butcher Barbecue products tested on that competition circuit as well as in the backyard. Be the pitmaster of your neighborhood. Visit butcherbbq.com to stock up now. Always trust your butcher. Words to live by. That's what we say. My next guest on this show, a longtime sponsor, proud owner of their Jim Bowie and Daniel Boone model pellet cookers. I'm also a proud owner of that pizza oven insert as well. Tonight we talk about the release of the new Prime line. So let's go ahead and race to the hotline. And welcome back, friend of the show, Jason Baker of Green Mountain Grills. Jason, how are you, buddy?
I'm well, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing absolutely fabulous, Jason. Appreciate you making time for the show. It's been a minute since we have played catch up and what's up. So first and foremost, I guess before we get into that Prime talk, let's talk a little bit about this thing called the Big Pig Cooker. I mean, you kind of love that thing, don't you?
Man, I love this grill. This thing has got like over 20 square feet of grilling space, 450 pounds of capability to put as many pellets as you want in that thing. It's got all the variable speed 12-volt technology that we've been working on since 2013. You name it, it's got it. And it's an easy machine to run, and it's just a lot of fun to move around and show people. Once people see that thing, it's neat to watch the reaction.
Is it something that you would ever pitch to somebody like me, backyard guy that really isn't into huge whole hog cooking or catering? Or, I mean, is it a little bit of a niche market?
Probably not. It's a niche market. I mean, we only make so many of them a year. There is a little bit of a back order right now on those things. But what's fun about that grill is that you can just keep adding, we keep adding tons of features to this thing, whether it's the hydraulic lid, the clasps, the ladder. We're adding some lights here in the future. You name it, we're just gonna keep adding what we can to this thing to make it fun. And it is a pricey unit. I mean, it's retails for about $6,000, and then you've got shipping on top of that, or you pick it up at one of our locations. But yeah, it's a beast. It's an absolute beast.
Do you have dealers that will stock it?
There are a few, but mostly distributors that will stock it, right, and then take care of their dealers on it.
Jason Baker joining me here on the show, greenmountaingrills.com, the website, if you want to check it out here while we visit here this evening. So, Jason, let's kind of take a macro view here at the top. As it relates to the Prime, why was 2019 the year that we wanted to add to the product line, give it a new look, a little refresh, add some FABs, all the good stuff?
You know, we collected data for years. I mean, we wanted to listen to every consumer that we could to figure out how we could make a better experience with the pellet grill. And I think that's what we continue to do, is just listen to what the customers are saying, and we try to develop a pellet grill that will accommodate all those things. And I think, you know, this was the perfect last couple of years, really. We've been developing this, and with the start of the Davy Crockett, with the 12-volt brushless motors and running everything through 12-volt technology, we just got very comfortable with that, the Davy Crockett, and we knew that we would eventually lead into the other products with that technology. We moved into it on the Big Pig trailer rig next, and then started moving into it on the Daniel Boone and then the Jim Bowie. And so we're finding a lot of neat things that really beneficial to the user. You know, especially just simple things like, you know, we used to have this device where we would take down the choice. What we're doing, everything, let me back up just a little bit. So all the grills that we currently make, we're still making those. Those are going to be our choice model grills, and everything in the future will be the Prime model grills. And so with the choice grills, we will still have in order to turn off the grill, which we were the first to come out with the fan feature to make sure you could blow that fire out for safety reasons. We took that thing down to 150, and then you depress and you go through a process.
Right.
On the Davy Crockett, it's just a push button. So you push it once to start it, you let it get to 150, and then you can crank it up from there. Same thing when you're done, you push the red button and turn it off. So that little things like that are things that people expect.
Give me a high level of the Prime line, Jason, and why you had mentioned a couple items there as far as what will now be the choice line versus the Prime line, but you see from a picture standpoint, and I think if you're following if you're any type of pellet grill fan, you've seen the matriculating of promo videos, and some of the more well-known pitmasters use Green Mountain Grills have some videos out there. So you're starting to kind of see it, and there's a buzz that's building. But what would you tell people in that 30-second elevator pitch about where Prime is right now and why they would want to consider that?
Yeah, I think right off the bat, that's tough to throw that into 30 seconds. I haven't honed in on that yet, Greg, so I'm sorry. But what I love about the 12-volt technology that we started in 2013 is this sense of being able to really hone in on the fan speeds. And what that allows us to do is hone in on those RPMs from as little as 600 RPMs up to 6,000 RPMs. And so being able to do that in a direct current scenario allows us to really maintain that fire. And what that also does is when we're doing the same thing with our auger motor in that same 12-volt arena, that brushless motor, you can almost knock out one pellet instead of a rotation of pellets or a half rotation of pellets. You're literally throwing out, a couple pellets to keep that fire going. So what people are going to see is they're going to see a lot less pellet consumption. That's something we've noticed in every alternating current pellet grill out there. Pick a brand. I'll show you some serious pellet consumption in those alternating current environments. But the focus on this 12-volt arena was to hone in on better consumption, perfect consumption, really. And so when you look at our hopper and you see that 18-pel hopper, people go, well, you didn't really change the hopper. Well, we added a little bit, but I think you're going to see that the thing saves a lot in pellets. And, we're hearing some crazy numbers out there, which we're proud of. We want people to save money on pellets. So that's a great feature. Little things like the hopper window, people like being able to see where those pellets are. We still have the low pellet alarm in there, which goes to the app if you have the Wi-Fi. We have the actual grill lid window itself, as you see there in that photo. The grill lid window is ceramic glass. We heard a lot of people that they love that. They love being able to just look in there without opening that lid. And if it's just a peace of mind thing, that's fine. So we added that. Super easy to clean, little stainless steel brush and some water really takes that thing pretty much down to clarity. Dual meat probes. People have been asking for dual meat probes. We decided to put them on there. People asked for a little USB charging port on the front of the grill. We put it on there. Having the ability to utilize that 12-volt direct power that we started with the Davy Crockett back in 2013 gave us the ability to utilize different connection points. So whether it's plugging into your vehicle or plugging into a battery or just utilizing the AC/DC adapter to plug it into the wall, having that versatility of power is a big deal for a lot of people. And I think that's been something that people love about the Davy Crockett. So obviously we put that into our Daniel Boone and Jim Bowie Prime units. The other thing, the heat shield. Heat shield plays such a role in every pellet grill I've ever cooked on. And that heat shield, given the ability, if you were able to move that thing left and right and manage that fire by the use of pushing that heat shield, even little quarter-inch movements or half an inch movements, it gives you if you have air probes inside that grill, you could literally get that thing to left and right almost to perfection, right? And then same thing with inside the app. If you thought, oh my gosh, this thing's 12 degrees hotter over here or 30 degrees hotter over here, you can move that heat shield accordingly and then even hone in on the thermal sensor through the app. So folks that are really chasing those temperatures can hone in on those on this particular Prime unit very, very easily. The choice units, you can do it as well, but the heat shield, you have to pull the guts out to get to the heat shield and move it accordingly. This has a rod on the outside that allows for you to move it left or right. One thing I think that people talked about the grill, they said that the chassis was a little light. I don't think they'll say that again. I think when people see this grill, they're going to realize that, I think a lot of our competition is out there taking metal down, and they're going to see that on this Daniel Boone Wi-Fi that we're selling, Daniel Boone Wi-Fi Prime that we're selling for $699. We give you a front shelf, we give you a bottom shelf, we give you this full chassis, everything for $699 is a heck of a deal, and it's a great buy. So I think when you look again at this grill, you're going to see that weight. You're going to see the substantial features of the grill. You're going to see all the things that we listen to, including the ash vac. People asked, for an ash vac system in the grill, so we created an ash vac system in this Prime unit.
So is there some type of a port where you can stick a shop vac tube in and it just sucks it out without having to rip the whole guts out and everything?
That's exactly right. It's just a trap door on the right-hand side, and all it's focused on is the ash, so it won't pull out pellets if pellets are in there, but it'll definitely pull out the ash as it drops in underneath the grill or underneath the firebox. You have the ability to, yes, put that shop vac into that trap door and suck the ash out. So a lot of these things, really, it's just we wanted to make sure people had a better experience, and we see that. I mean, I try to stay off the forums as much as possible, but I do like to read other companies' forums and see kind of the same kind of things about pellet grills.
Yeah.
It's difficult. This is a tough business. It's not for the faint of heart. These things are they're mechanical products, and things can go wrong in mechanical products. But we're trying to create a longevity, a little bit more in our units. We're trying to create a better user experience for our folks. And, we're not out there to, when I got involved in this business, and this is a family business with an investment strategy behind it, but the goal of this thing was, for me at least, to get out of the corporate world. I was in corporate for a long time, and I had to get out of it because it was driving me nuts. And so getting into this business was refreshing because I met a lot of great people in barbecue, and I mean, incredible amount of people, great people in this barbecue community. And it's been fun to watch products and companies rise up, but it's become, at least in this business, a change where folks are you got private equity firms out there, you got all sorts of different maneuvering going on in this business, and for us, we try to keep blinders on, and we want to stay organic. We want to grow as much as we can possibly grow, but at our own terms, and we don't have anybody to answer to except ourselves and our customers, most importantly. So that's what we continue to do as a company.
Jason Baker joining me from Green Mountain Grills, going over the Prime. That was a little longer than 30 seconds, but I think that was very in-depth.
Had to do it.
Very insightful, Jason, so I appreciate that. From a cooking capacity, similar in what you can put in Choice versus Prime, or is there an ability to even increase that more?
Yeah, so identical. I mean, what we did was we took that same grill body that you've seen in the Daniel Boone and the Jim Bowie for years and worked around it. So the guts, everything around the body has been changed, but the body itself is very similar.
I'm intrigued with this 12 volt. Like, when did it occur to you that this was going to be that big of a game changer? I mean, if we're talking about, and a noticeable amount of pellet savings, I mean, that's easily translated into pellet savings. That's ROI, money you're saving over the course of the year, life of the grill. You can extrapolate it out to where you get to $1 billion, all that stuff. But when did you realize that this was something that was really going to be something you wanted to implement going forward? Did you notice that you were getting the benefits from the Davy Crockett and then researching further, or did you know that was going to happen when you started with the Davy Crockett?
Yeah, we knew it. I mean, we knew it was just a matter of time with Davy Crockett. When 2013 we started playing with this thing, everybody in the company who had Davy Crockett, and then if they had a Davy Crockett and they had a Daniel Boone or Jim Bowie, not just because it was a smaller space, because even if you extrapolated those numbers, you'd go, this doesn't make sense. Why is this thing using such less pellets? Why is it consuming such less pellets? And we just watched that. We watched the feedback from consumers, because a lot of our customers are two GMG grill owners. They have a Danny Boone or a Jim Bowie, and they have a a Davy Crockett as well, and they'll all comment on that and say, "Gosh, if I only have to cook, something for my wife and a couple kids, I'm going to turn on the Davy Crockett, and that thing's going to use." I mean, we were hearing ridiculous things, half a pound an hour type of pellet usage. And, when you're running a Jim Bowie in 20-degree weather, you're going to chew through some pellets, I promise.
For sure.
So watching that, that feedback from 2014, 13, 14, 15, 16, we knew that this was going to be where we wanted to head. We just obviously, we're a small business, right? We have to sit here and pay people back and pay for tooling. And, we run our business much differently, I think, than a lot of our competitors out there. Who have great private equity or whatever they have out there to continue their massive growth push. That's not us. We're happy with being just who we are.
From an app user interface, controllability, compatibility, where does the app sit right now compared to when you would release it a couple of years ago?
Oh man, I mean, we released that. So we started working on it in 2012. Is when we actually started working on the app itself and drew the entire process. And where we released it and where it is today is night and day. Mm-hmm. And I think it just continues to get better as technology just continues to get better. I think we're utilizing a lot of different ways in which we can make sure, again, that the usability, the connection, the customer experience is sound throughout that whole entire process. So I think you still have your connection problems here and there with certain routers and getting around that, navigating through that is all part of what we do. That's why we have customer service and app support and that's a heavy part of this business and we get that. We want to make sure that we have people there because again, there are a lot of pieces to this puzzle. This pellet grill game is not easy. There's a lot. I mean, there's 372 parts on that grill. And then the app itself, I mean, it's crazy how much goes in that app. And every time Android changes something, iOS changes something, we have to change something. It's an incredible this continuum. So, but we enjoy it. We're having fun, and again, our biggest thing is we're not perfect. We're not trying to claim anything perfection wise. We want to get better, and so we love when customers tell us, hey, you're doing this wrong. Let's do it better. We're like, yeah, we'll do it. Boom. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Last question here. We got a couple minutes left. The popularity, and of course, nobody is a bigger fan of the pizza oven than me. How is that particular unit working out? And has there been any talk about, because I get asked all the time, I have friends that have competing pellet grills and they love the pizza oven insert. And of course, my recommendation is, well, go out and get a Green Mountain grill, then also get the pizza oven insert and problem solved. Like, well, I have a grill. It kind of looks like yours. Could I borrow yours and try it out? I say no. Is there, so I guess the long-winded question is, how is the continued growth of that particular segment? And then is there a possibility that somebody else could take your oven and put it in their cooker?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I jump on those forums all the time. I'm not going to name names, but I've been on. You could just take the top 5 pellet grill manufacturers out there. I've seen that pizza attachment on every single one of them.
Oh wow!
It may not fit perfectly in there, but people are definitely. It's the basic premise is you've got a funnel over the firebox, so that funnel is sitting right on top of that firebox, and the thermal sensor is sitting far enough away from it that allows you to almost double your temperatures. Once you set your temperature, it's going to be about double on that stone. So it doesn't really matter what product is out there. I'm not telling you to use it on our grill, on another grill. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just telling you I've seen it all over the place. And man, that pizza attachment it's been a lot of fun. That's been an addition that's just been fun. And I think one of the things that we recognized is even though it's a smaller cavity, people have asked us for years for a couple of years since we put out the pizza attachment to do it on the Davy Crockett. I think that's something you'll see here, hopefully this summer, a Davy Crockett pizza attachment as an insert for the Davy Crockett. So I think that'll be fun for a lot of folks as well.
If you're in the market, might I highly suggest that you consider the folks at Green Mountain Grills. They got the new Prime line coming out. greenmountaingrills.com is the website. You can do all your research there. And then they do believe in that distributor/dealer network. So you're going to have to go in somewhere, get educated on it. And that will eliminate any buyer's remorse that you might just do online. You figure, I don't know how to use it, I'll just send it back. Forget about it. They want you to know the cooker, use the cooker, love the cooker, and that's why I love the two that I have. And this is Jason Baker from Green Mountain Grills. Jason, always appreciate the time and the support, man. Thanks so much.
Greg, thank you so much, man.
You got it. There he is, Jason Baker from Green Mountain Grills. Again, the website, greenmountaingrills.com. And if you are in the market, there seem to be a lot of Green Mountain Grill proponents in the YouTube chat room, by the way. So happy to see you guys in here. Looks like some of you have been introduced to the Prime line in person, getting rave reviews here. So if you're in the market, best thing you can do for the show is give the show sponsors first consideration. GreenMountainGrills.com is the place to go. Thanks again to Jason Baker for the time. Before we get to Matt Eads, let me talk to you quickly about Big Papa Smokers, the #1 online shop for all things barbecue, a curated selection of only the best outdoor cooking and grilling supplies to get you on the path to better barbecue results in no time. Everything at Big Papa Smokers has been Pitmaster approved by Sterling Big Papa Ball himself. They're known for the championship rubs and seasonings, popular flavors like Sweet Money, Cattle Prod, Cash Cow, Money, Desert Gold, Little Louie's Seasoned Salt. There's 13 perfectly balanced flavors in all. They transform ordinary meals into extraordinary. They also have a great partnership with Steph Franklin over at Simply Marvelous Barbecue. Putting those two rubs together get you what's known as the West Coast offense. We all know about that, especially in the competition scene. They are the proud owners of Granny's Barbecue Sauce. Looking for a new go-to barbecue sauce that will please everyone? Granny's traditional yet powerful flavors remind us why we fell in love with barbecue in the first place. Aside from the premium selection of rubs and sauces, Big Papa Smokers offers the very best pellet charcoal and wood cookers available today. If you're looking for a smoker that's easy to use, you might want to check out that Mac 2-star General Pellet Grill. Big Papa's is the exclusive Mac dealer, and they even offer special packages. If you're not a fan of pellet cookers, all right. Take a look at the Old Hickory Ace BP, the only charcoal smoker that Big Papa trusts on his competition trailer. If you're a backyard barbecue enthusiast like me, looking for a durable and versatile grill that will last forever, the M Grill from Texas is just what you need. They're built like tanks. Not sure what grill you need? You really can't go wrong with anything that's available at BigPapaSmokers.com. They have something for every kind of backyard cooking budget. If you have specific questions, they're happy to field your phone call, 877-828-0727. Or shop their website at BigPapaSmokers.com. That's BIGPOPPA Smokers.com. Matt Eads joins me when we come back. Stick around.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
This portion of the show being brought to you by CookinPellets.com. Do you have a Green Mountain Grill? Do you have a Mac? Any one of the other ones that are currently CookinPellets.com is a source to fire those cookers. Come on! You head on over to CookinPellets.com or Amazon.com and purchase. Don't forget, you can go to CookinPellets.com and download their free app. Get alerted to great shipping deals. Very fun. My next guest tonight is a accomplished live fire cook, ready to grill or barbecue or whatever the fire should tell him to do. He will do it. The April 9th finds. Let me see. What are we doing here? The April 9th will find the release of his first book, Grillseeker, Basic Training for Everyday Grilling, which you can pre-order right now on Amazon. Tonight, we're going to be talking about grilling and sous vide. So, let's head to the hotline and welcome back friend of the show, Matt Eads. And fingers crossed, Matt, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, we are sounding live
Oh,
this
yeah.
time. All right, it looks good.
It works this time, right?
Yeah, this time, second time's a charm. I think that's what they say, Matt.
Yeah.
So on topic for this evening is grilling. First, Matt, do you define a difference between barbecue and grilling? And if so, how do you generally say this is one and this is the other?
Yeah, I think that I do, certainly. When I think about barbecue, I think generally about, sort of the competition circuit, right? And those folks that have really established themselves with cooking ribs and chicken and, pork butt and brisket. Like those guys are some real warriors, and they spend a lot of time perfecting their game. And so when I think about barbecue, traditional barbecue, that's what I think about. Grilling, I think, is a different sort of genre. I'm grilling all kinds of stuff, whether it's, a banana split or,
Banana
a
split.
burger or a dog. Yeah, banana split. Shameless plug. It's in the book. If you want to grill a banana split, I do that in there. I love paella on the grill. And those are the types of things that I think are, traditional grilling things versus, barbecue.
Matt Eads joining me here on the show. Matt, do you have a preference of fuel source when you're grilling?
It just depends. I think it really depends on the mood. It was interesting. I was listening to the segment just a little bit earlier, and you were talking to the guys from Green Mountain, and I just reviewed one of their grills earlier.
Mm-hmm.
It was the Tailgater. I think it's the Davy Crockett is the name of it, right?
Yep.
And for the price point, you can't beat it. It puts out great food, works as advertised. It's great. And I think that each grill has sort of its place. I'm not a huge fan of pellet grills in general. I've got a couple of them, and I use them certainly, but they wouldn't be my go-to. But they certainly have their place. So I think for me it just depends on the mood, the company, and by company I mean if I've got a house load of people and I've got to cook a bunch of food, pellet grill's great because I don't have to tend to it much. But if it's just me and a couple of buddies hanging out, maybe I want to fire up the offset. Depends.
Some of the more experienced grillers tend to turn their nose up at the use of natural or liquid propane gas. Are you a nose turner or no?
I am not a nose turner. That's funny. Really, people that define who you are by what you cook on. I've never really understood that. I cook on gas quite a bit, probably at this point more than I do charcoal. But so no, the short answer is no. I'm not a nose turner, and I don't begrudge anybody that cooks exclusively on a pellet or a gas grill or a charcoal grill. The idea for me is just getting outside, making great memories, great food with your family and friends, and having a ball doing it.
And I think one of the key things that you had mentioned earlier, I mean, it kind of depends on situation and the company that you're keeping and whatever protein that you might be trying to prepare. Gas grill is certainly convenient. Charcoal is, I think, a lot more convenient than it used to be with the advent of the charcoal chimney and the way that's really taken off. Plus, people realize now, well, I can put this charcoal chimney on a outdoor gas burner and it's going to actually light a lot quicker. So I don't know if there's maybe a negligible difference in speed if you're going to use gas grill to charcoal, but a little game planning ahead of time, get you that charcoal grill going, and it's just as convenient, no big deal. Plus, you can do a little bit more with the thermodynamics of a charcoal grill than you can do with a gas grill. So, I have pellet cookers and gas grills and offsets and everything in between because I think, there's every once in a blue moon, man, on a good summer's night or evening, you can have all those things going and you can look like an absolute stud, right? But everything has its definitive reason of why you have it. You're just not trying to show off, but everything's got its own piece. So I always encourage people to buy multiple cookers over time. Not all at once, I guess, if you don't have the money, but that's what I like. So dovetailing into the main topic at hand here this evening, which is sous vide grilling. So if we talk about, there are some people that turn their nose up at folks who use gas when they're doing their grilling. Mm-hmm. There has certainly never been a more polarizing subject to talk about over the last 24 or maybe even 36 months than the use of a sous vide machine in correspondence with either barbecue or grilling. So first things first, when were you first introduced to sous vide cooking, and did you realize the potential, or did you were you attracted to it initially, or is it something that you had to get infected with and then become a fan of?
Yeah, I think probably been using sous vide for, I'm going to guess about 2 years, 3 years maybe ish. And really, when I first started with sous vide, I thought it was sort of gimmicky. I thought, what could possibly be the point of this thing? And the first couple of times I used it, I thought, wow, there's really some value here. And really, for me, the value is, I would start by saying, if weather permitting and time permitting, I'm always going to use a grill to cook meat. But there's some benefits to sous vide, and just today, as a matter of fact, I finished up a recipe for sort of a combination between sous vide and barbecue. Or grilling. So I did a corned beef today, and it turned out perfect. But so I think that there's a time and a place for things, and we live in a busy society, and people have got kids to take to soccer and jobs and things like that, and you could throw something in a sous vide, and you can go and do dropping the kids off at soccer, or whatever the case may be, and unattended. So I'm a fan of sous vide for the convenience. I think that there are certainly things that serve better for sous vide. I really like pork and chicken sous vide much more than beef. I will tell you that benefit, at least for me, with beef, is that you can kind of soak it in butter for a couple of hours and really get some great flavor that way. The other huge thing for me about sous vide is vodka. I love to infuse vodka with the sous vide, and you can do all kinds of crazy things with vodka and flavors in it.
Yeah, so I saw you happen to drop that in some correspondence that we were having as we were setting up for the segment, and you talked about infusing vodka.
Yeah.
So what does that mean exactly? You're pouring vodka in the bag, and you're putting some type of a botanical in there, or like kind of making it into a gin of sorts, or what's the deal on the flavors that you're infusing?
Yeah, sort of the sky's the limit. So I would say with vodka, you're not going to use a bag like you would for, typically, a steak or a pork chop or whatever. You just put it in a little glass jar, mason jar, or whatever. But you can do anything from, pineapple is one of my favorites. There's a local steakhouse, and they serve a drink called the Stoli Doli, which is essentially a Stolicevich vodka. I think that's how it's pronounced. Maybe I'm just made a fool of myself. But whatever it is, it's a Russian vodka, right? And they infuse it with this pineapple. And I was talking to the bartender, and he said, hey, look, I make this stuff here. We infuse it 30 days, and essentially he's cutting fresh pineapple and throwing it in the vodka. And he says it takes 30 days before it's ready to serve. But you can do that in sous vide in like 3 hours by cutting the same fresh pineapple, throwing it into the vodka into a mason jar. I run it at 155. It'd go for about 3 hours, and you can get this incredibly diverse flavor of pineapple vodka. You could do, cilantro. It's a really fun one. Cilantro vodka is interesting. You could do some jalapeno vodka is great for Bloody Marys. So really, the sky is the limit. Apple's another great one. The sky really is the limit for vodka and what you can infuse with it.
So is it the heat that's making the whole thing come together in 3 hours versus 30 days? He's just putting it in a bottle and sticking it on a shelf somewhere and just letting time do its thing otherwise?
That's exactly right. And when I say 3 hours, I mean 3 hours of cook time, and at 155 degrees.
Right.
I wouldn't recommend pulling it straight out of the 155 degree water. I mean, you might risk the glass breaking or whatever if you cooled it down too quick. So after the 3 hours of cook time, I just turn off the cooker, the little sous vide cooker, and just let it roll. And within an hour or so, it's cooled down, and you're ready to go.
So that's infused vodka, but from a meat cooking standpoint, where do you really see the benefit, or what's your favorite meat to use in a sous vide situation?
Yeah, I think for me, it's really about the thicker cuts of meat. So if you're going to do something thin, like a thin cut pork chop, a thinner cut of steak, when I say thin, I'm talking less than an inch in thickness. Those things are easy to do hot and fast, and really the benefit of a sous vide is not going to really be there. But if you've got a thicker cut of meat, specifically like a filet mignon, which I think, and I posted about this the other day, I think a filet mignon is one of probably the most disappointing cuts of meat to get at a restaurant.
Yes.
Seemingly it's always overdone. And I tried to show that in a picture that I posted. There you go. And you can see around the outer edge, like if you just try to sear a fillet, any thick cut of meat, I used a fillet here, but if you just try to sear any thick cut of meat, you're going to get that well done sort of ring around the outside, and nobody really likes that. And the other side is sous vide, and you can see that it's pretty much to edge doneness. So if there's a favorite cut, I don't know that I would say a favorite cut. I would say a thickness, and what I'm looking at is 1.5 inch or thicker on any cut of meat. I think really benefits from sous vide. And a big portion of that is seasoning the meat before it goes into the vacuum pack.
So you see, because I've read a number of different ideas or concepts on when the seasoning should happen. I've heard that people say, hey, throw the steak in there, get it to whatever temperature you want it, and we'll talk about times here in a second. But then once it comes out of the bag, pat it dry as you can get, then add the seasoning. Then it goes onto the grill for a minute each side, blah, 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 just to get the sear color on, and away you go. Then I've heard other people say, like you and myself, I season the steak first, put it in the bag, let the vacuum thing kind of do the penetration, and reseason a little bit when it comes back out, and then onto the grill to finish it. So you find that seasoning prior to going into the bag is what works best for you?
I think it works best. Here's why. And there's plenty of schools of thought about this, and people are all going to have their own opinion. I love pepper. I hate pepper on steak before it goes over a heat source. I think it gets very bitter and it just doesn't taste great. So with sous vide, I can put some pepper on a steak, pork chop, whatever it's going to be. I get the good pepper flavor, and then I can cook it over whatever temperature that I want, and I don't get that bitter, burnt pepper flavor. And so folks that, may be new to that concept or, maybe disagree, I would just say, look, everyone has their own opinion, but give it a shot one time. Do a steak, do a pork chop, whatever. Season one with pepper before you put it on the grill or before you put it on your heat source, and do one without it and just pepper it after. And tell me if you think there's a difference in flavor. And I think that, if folks are honest, you feel like maybe the pepper over a direct flame, it tends to get a little bit bitter.
Matt, from a time perspective, obviously the temperature is going to be more of what you prefer. If you want medium rare or medium, what are you going to have to set that temperature? But how long do you let it sit in the bath? Because I've heard also different schools have thought, well, it can't be any longer than an hour or an hour and a half, or don't do over 2 or 3 because when you pull it out of the bag, it's just going to fall apart, blah, blah, blah. To me, that's more tender, but what do you think?
Yeah, I think a few things. So I would think, for me, rule of thumb for steak, I usually go around 2 hours, and I usually roll at 125 just because I like something a little bit more towards medium rare plus. But for chicken, I'm going probably 4 hours. And so, the FDA puts out regulations about, temperature of chicken, and people get stuck on what those temperatures are for safe eating. But those temperatures are really based on the time it takes to kill bacteria in a 9-second period. So they want temperatures that high so that you can kill bacteria in 9 seconds. But if you cook chicken at 140 for 4 hours, you could eat it safely then. It wouldn't taste great, but you could eat it. It's still going to be really juicy. So, for me, time perspective, again, depends on what kind of meat I'm eating. Chicken, I'm going 4 hours. Steak, I'm going to be about an hour and a half to 2 hours.
So you're not at 125 on chicken. Are you into the 150s or 145, or where are you at?
Yeah, 145 for me for chicken, 4 hours at 145, just because I want to get a really nice sear at the end. And, obviously that's where the good flavor comes from. But yeah, 145 on chicken. What
are you using to do the sear? Are you cast iron guy? Are you grill grates on a gas grill kind of thing? What's your preference?
Yeah, that's a good one. So grill grates look really sexy, and obviously it's a great product. People seem to really like it. I'm not a huge fan of the grill marks myself. I like the overall char. So if weather permitting, I'm going outside and firing up the grill, and I'm going to sear it that way. If the weather's horrible, and I live in Virginia, and you can't really count on the weather here. Sometimes it's sometimes we're snow or rain. Most of the time we're snow or rain or wind. And so then I'm cast iron, and oftentimes I combine the two. Sometimes I want that cast iron sear, and I'll just throw it on the grill because I just love to be outside cooking, and so I'll sear the meat in the cast iron over a grill.
Now, I am a fan of the grill grates, and on the current grill that I have, actually on every grill that I've had since my first Weber, and I'm actually transitioning into a new Weber here in the next couple days, and I'll get grill grates for that. Half are rails up, but then you can also invert and go rails down, so you have, in essence, a griddle top. Now, it's not a true griddle because there's the air holes that are in it as well, so you would lose something if it was a little bit more viscous. But I get that griddle side as hot as I can, and that's what I did that steak the other night that I had put on Instagram, a minute on each side, and it was hot enough to get that nice. I'm with you. Overall browning over grill marks. I've never understood grill marks. I don't get it. I think it's starting to take over the competitive steak situation, which is a whole nother diatribe that we could get into at a later date.
Yeah.
But overall browning means better flavor, so that's what I like.
Yeah, I'm with you. Let me ask you this. So when you're using the grill grate upside down, and I've seen some people do that, are you able to get some seasoning on the grate itself so you can get some flavor infused from that as well? Or?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
Yep. I've not used them. I see them a lot for the grill marks, and maybe that's what sort of turned me off because I'm just not like a grill mark guy, but I can see the benefit of the reverse side of it.
Matt Eads is the author of a new book coming up April 9th. It's called Grillseeker. Basic training for everyday grilling. Are we still like hot and heavy on the pre-orders, Matt, or what?
Yeah, things are going really, really well. I've actually, it's very humbling. I've got, I think there's about 7 at this point, 7 morning shows across the country that are that have asked me to come on and do a cooking segment and talk about the book. And there's a handful of others that expressed some interest. So I'm really excited. You know, I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun to I've never done that before. I've seen some other folks doing it. But you know, I'm really excited to do it. The pre-orders are much stronger than I ever thought, and yeah, I'm excited and certainly very humbled by it.
All right. Well, I've always said that springtime is what brings the barbecue and grilling cookbooks out, and this is one you're going to want to add to that collection. Again, April 9th is the drop, but you can pre-order right now on Amazon. Grillseeker Basic Training for Everyday Grilling. It's Matt Eads. Matt, thanks so much again for the time, and we will check you out again next month.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Take care, bud.
You got it. There he is. Breaking sous vide down, and we've broken sous vide down from time to time here. Thank God Skype worked this time. Last time was a tragedy of seismic proportions. But a little different perspective. Now already I'm debating on whether or not I want to get more into it or not. It's the internal struggle that I have. One thing that I do not struggle with, it's kind of like a sous vide for your ceramic cookers and your bullet-style cookers, is the BBQ Guru. That's right. They have always believed that outdoor cooking should be easy and fun because it can be, especially with the Monolith BBQ Guru Edition grill. The Monolith, the world's first temperature-controlled smoker with a built-in power draft fan. This means smarter control, greater freedom with automatic temperature control. Easily choose your cooking time and temperature, and let the Monolith do the work of a sous chef or a barbecue pitmaster. With minimal effort, you now have oven-like precision at the grill with the tastiest, juiciest meats you can serve. If you currently have an automatic temperature controller from the BBQ Guru, you don't have to get a new one to make that Monolith work. Just go ahead and run those leads right down to the built-in power draft fan that the Monolith has, and you are off and running. If you want to upgrade the tech, certainly up to you. Go to bbqguru.com or give them a call at 800-288-GURU. That's 800-288-GURU, and they will answer all your questions. Make sure you're up and running right out of the box. Wrapping up the first hour. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Big name interviews, advice on cooking brisket and ribs, and the only host willing to share his honest opinion on all things important in the world of barbecue. It's the Barbecue Central Show.
Thanks again to Matt Eads for joining me. His website, grillseeker.com. Book dropping April 9th. Find it on Amazon, Grillseeker Basic Training for Everyday Grilling, or for ease, go to my website, click on the Grillseeker logo, or in the link section, that'll take you right over there, and you can pre-order yourself one. Matt will appear again next month. Who knows what we'll be talking about? Follow him on Instagram if you don't. He's got like, what was it, 30,000 or 40,000 Instagram followers. A very large following on Instagram, right? And my keyboard is the worst. It's always leaving off the damn first letter if you don't type on it all the time. Christ. Grillseeker.com, his website, at Grillseeker on social media. Become a member of the hashtag United by Flame movement. Second hour straight ahead.
Hi, this is Jeff Richards, Columbus, Ohio. You're listening to Barbecue Central. Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
Boing. We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me.
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle. Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude.
Succulent fish. What?
He ate sous vide or wiener.
Oh, listen, Libertius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
And just like that, we are into the second hour. Welcome to the Barbecue Central Show. If you are just tuning in, you missed a great first hour. We talked with Jason Baker from Green Mountain Grills. Talked about the new Prime line. If you're really looking for some type of capacity, the Big Pig is also available at $6,000. A lot of new features on this version of 2019 too for the Big Pig, but the Prime was the majority of the conversation, talking about why the 12-volt power adapter is being put in place on all their cookers going forward, what that means in motor control, and ultimately what that saves you in pellet consumption. That's real live ROI that you can extrapolate out. Jason, I don't know if you're listening, but, you know, a brother wouldn't mind a new Prime grill. Just saying. You know what? I hate when people ask for something and go, just saying. Don't do that. Stop doing that. I'm going to listen to that back tomorrow, and I'm going to hate myself for doing that. But sometimes it just happens in the moment. You just say stupid stuff, which you could take back. What I meant to say was, Jason, if you're still listening, a brother wouldn't mind a new Prime grill. That's what I meant to say. We also talked with Matt Eads, the Grillseeker, about the new book, and we also spent a little bit more time talking about Sous Vide. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Instant poll in the instant chat on YouTube. Do you love or do you hate Sous Vide? I made a Facebook post of a steak that I had put a sear on after it came out of the sous vide bath. Many people were joining the sous vide movement in kind of a, in some form or fashion, they were proponents or fans to some degree. But then I had other ones. Oh, Rempy, nothing says man like boiled steak.
Get that big stuff out of here.
You know that's coming. In my humble opinion, doesn't take much to drop meat and water and have everything be taken care of you. That's my humble opinion. You're no man. I know. I've never been accused of being a man. Backyard Barbecue Show. Greg, how's that Lang working? Honestly, it hasn't been working too hard over the winter because I'm not going to stand outside and throw sticks. Also, my wood pile is very slim. I got to launch my call over to Cosell Farms on the west side and have them bring me a dump truck load of all cherry wood. I've really become a fan of cherry wood in the Lang. And I'm really looking forward to trying a whole new... Kinger, you will love this because I know you were trying to backdoor me on how much I don't use my Lang. I get it. But I do use it. But not right now because it's cold and windy and rainy. But when I get my new wood supply, there's a whole new fire building technique that I've been talking with top men about secretly that could change my life. Does it mean I'm going to use it more or less than I do now? The stick burner is great to have. Does it really fit my lifestyle all the time in this particular station in life? Not too much. Kids still active. One's getting ready to go to college and play a sport, so we'll be probably trying to see a lot of that over the weekends that they're around. Middle one is doing her thing. Little one is also into sports. Softball through this summer, so once again, summer of brisket is screwed. Unless I just don't go. This is the last year of softball. Maybe I just don't go. Maybe I'm the bag dad. Baghdad. Maybe I'm the bag dad that decides that this is your last year. You've said it's your last year. I'm not even going to invest in it. I'm going to do Summer of Brisket 2019 because I didn't get to do Summer of Brisket 2018. Maybe that's what I should do. But we'll see how it goes. I want to use it more. And now with this potentially new fire building technique in the firebox of the Lang, very excited to get it going and seeing if it actually works out. We'll see. Stay tuned. I will keep you regularly updated. Follow me socially. You will be regularly updated on everything that I cook at BBQ Central Show on Instagram and the Twitter, /BBQ Central Show on Facebook, which is where you also might be watching this video feed. I have not put in the books the best moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less this Friday, so I can't promo that specifically. But it's going to be good because John Solborg already has it locked and loaded. I just don't have what I have coming up on Friday, but it will be there as it always is. Also, don't forget to follow me and watch me, and well, not watch, but listen to me on the John Cupo Show. Every Friday, I make an appearance at a local Willoughby radio station here in Cleveland, 1330 AM and 101.5 FM simulcast. If you're not anywhere near there, wintradio.com. That's the easiest way. Programming note, and Kinger, you will especially like this. Here we go.
A Barbecue Central Show exclusive news update.
That's right, Greg Rempe reporting from the breaking news desk here in Cleveland, Ohio. I believe for a programming note coming up on WINT, the John Cupo Show this Friday, John has booked Maddie and Kiki, who, as we will find out next segment, might be the pair that have coined the term and or phrase barbecue entertainer. John will be interviewing Maddie and Kiki of Instagram fame on and they have a website. They're starting to do cooking classes. Kinger, do you know Maddie and Kiki? They're from Canada. I would assume you know them. They're in the live fire space. You were or are in the live fire space. You know Maddie and Kiki, right? They're Ontario people. It seems that the lion's share of live fire authority in Canada comes from that Ontario area. Diva Q was once from Ontario. Well, I think she still is from. She lives in Florida now, but from Ontario, Barrie, Ontario. Ted Reeder is Ontario. Maddie and Kiki, Ontario. It's quite a run of live fire people there. Kinger is probably around Ontario. It's debatable, though. Kinger could be French-Canadian, which we frown upon on the show. Ontario is huge. Oh, Ontario. I mean, we'll see. Maddie and Kiki. That's John Cupo's show. So WINT radio for everybody that doesn't live locally in Willoughby or 15 miles around. I believe the turn up is going to happen as well soon. So you can get out almost an hour and a half or so in any direction. Kinger, you might be able to get me on the airwaves. I go in around 7:30. Stay for about an hour, hour and a half, depending on what I have going on in my real life. But the Maddie and Kiki interview should be like 8:10 in the morning Eastern. Kinger said he's never heard of him, but he doesn't go online much. You don't? You're just on YouTube, right, Kinger? Just a YouTube guy? Competition Barbecue mention. I want to congratulate Operation Barbecue Relief on winning the Houston Livestock and Rodeo this past weekend. Next segment, I will immediately go to our Texas correspondent, Doug, to see who did the cooking, but nonetheless, great exposure for Operation Barbecue Relief, one of the best organizations out there when it comes to helping people in natural disasters. And one of the organizations that you should be donating to, if you don't, or if you have, do it again. Donate to OBR. Well done. Also, Barbecue Hall of Fame update. I have been getting a lot of email asking me about the 2019 Barbecue Hall of Fame stuff. If you go to the Barbecue Hall of Fame website, barbecue, B-A-R-B-E-C-U-E, barbecuehalloffame.com, there is a small tab called Nominations. If you click that, it will take you to a page that appears to be tragically out of date, basically telling you that the 2018 nominations are closed. Well, that's great, except it's 2019. So if you click on the nominations link in the picture of that weird-looking rack of ribs, which is the trophy for the Hall of Famers, that will actually take you to the 2019 ballot. That is open. In fact, you have until April 14th to get your nominations in. I mean, look, it's no surprise that there were only 25 unique names last year, and there will probably be fewer this year because if you go to that page, it's not even updated. And if you don't get into the weeds to see that the new form is up, you'll miss it altogether. Hey, Barbecue Hall of Fame, get it together! Here's my call to action. Don't get me into the Hall of Fame this year. Get John Marcus into the Hall this year. Let's all band together, get him in. He fits a bunch of different criteria. He's grown the industry single-handedly. He competes. He's a celebrity, whatever that means to you. He's an Emmy award-winning writer. He writes musicals and plays. I don't see how this guy isn't already in the Barbecue Hall of Fame, so let's do the right thing and get him in as a collective. But you have to wade through the muck and mire of the outdated nominations portion of the website. Again, let's do the right thing. Let's get him in. Do not nominate me. Nominate John Marcus. Let's show our power here. All right, let me talk to you quickly about Southside Market and Barbecue. Established in 1882, Southside, the oldest barbecue joint in Texas. They've been owned and operated by the same family for 3 generations. Famous for the original beef sausage, which is coarse ground and a natural pork casing, and our authentic Central Texas barbecue meats. All meats, including the prime briskets, smoked low and slow for many hours over Texas Texas post oak wood. They ship nationwide via the online store and SouthsideMarket.com. They ship fresh and smoked sausages nationwide. Shipping customers can choose to order now and ship later. Include a custom gift note. Mail to multiple addresses without additional charges. All shipped items vacuum sealed to ensure freshness and ease of preparation for the customers. Shipped with dry ice to ensure complete freshness upon arrival. All meats processed in the on-site USDA inspected facility. The on-site meat markets are for fresh and smoked products, but custom orders are welcome. They have 2 restaurants that you can eat in, Elgin, Texas since 1882 and Bastrop since 2014. Grocery distribution through Texas and many surrounding states. 10% off coupon right now if you go to SouthsideMarket.com. Order up all the food, the barbecue meats, the sausages, all that stuff. When you're getting ready to check out, use code BBQ Central, lowercase, BBQ Central. Get 10% off the entire online order at SouthsideMarket.com. Saving money. I love it. You love it. Embedded correspondents are coming up for the remainder of the hour. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show.
The only show giving you a monthly visit from a doctor of barbecue. A man actually named Meathead. The author of a barbecue Bible. Bloggers, reviewers, competitors, and manufacturers by the dozens. It's the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, this portion of the show being brought to you by Smithfield. There are still a few spots left to be a part of this year's Smokin' with Smithfield Committed Cooks program. But don't delay. Head on over to the website, smokinwithsmithfield.com. That's SMOKIN, smokinwithsmithfield.com. And take one of those last spots of the Smithfield Committed Cooks program. Also, don't forget to sign up for the National Barbecue Championship that's sponsored by Smithfield. Again, the same website, smokinwithsmithfield.com, for all the details. The fourth Tuesday of the month brings, you know it, you love it. On this show, we call it the Embedded Correspondence segment. With the likes of Doug Scheiding, Steve Ray, David Huff, and John Solberg from various states across this great land of ours. Gentlemen, appreciate you making time as always. And we have a good handful of topics that we're going to be talking about here this evening. And the first one, actually, let me back out of the first topic here. Go right to the oldest and highest ranking embedded correspondent official, Doug Scheiding out of Texas. You were at the Houston Livestock and Rodeo this past weekend, Doug, competing. I think you won best all-around, best-looking guy and site. But from a competition perspective and who won, which is Operation Barbecue Relief, how does it all shake out? And can we give credit to the Operation Barbecue Relief folks that we know as far as cooking the winning stuff?
Yeah, I mean, they were Texas cooks, Joey Smith, Paul Carnell, Johnny Dunn. So it's the Texas contingency of the Operation Barbecue Relief. So it was good. You know, they did a lot for the city of Houston. So, you know, it's like if a disaster happens, you need to bet on the local team, just like, you know, the Red Sox winning and Yankees after 9/11 and things like that. But they were very excited. Joey Smith has actually been on a hot streak, and they finaled in both ribs and brisket. So it wasn't a huge surprise that they did win, just as long as they didn't tank in chicken.
Is it an upset? Not upset is it a surprise that Operation Barbecue Relief wins this, or is the caliber of cook one that should be contending?
Yeah, maybe it was a little bit of a surprise, but you know, where you know, people like Dave Bosca and, you know, Darren Worth finish you know, almost near 100, et cetera. So the results were kind of crazy this year to a certain extent.
What was your overall take of Houston Livestock this year?
It was crazier than ever.
Really?
It rained on some on Thursday, and our particular tent, the fire marshal was trying to shut it down because we had 300 people over our occupancy in the tent. We had almost 1,000 people. Oh gosh. It was crazy. You know, like on Friday night, they were expecting 170,000 people on site, and Saturday night they were expecting over 200,000. Your cell phone doesn't work because there's so many people in one spot that the cell towers can't handle all the cell traffic.
Wow.
Now, one note of kind of sad news is that actually there was a gentleman that died on site on Saturday morning. So he died of a heart attack. He actually refused treatment twice when he was having chest pains, and then they found him dead the next morning.
Really?
Yeah.
Great news. Thanks, Doug.
I know. Hey, I'm reporting the news. It was pretty tragic.
No doubt.
It's that party.
All right. So, well, let me quickly go around the dais here. Steve, if you could get down there, would you like to experience Houston Livestock and Rodeo, or would you pass?
I'd like to cook it. I probably, if I wasn't cooking it, I probably wouldn't go.
David?
Sounds like it's too crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where are you on the road again, David?
Yes, absolutely.
You're not even moving.
I am moving.
Oh, there you are. Okay, you didn't for some reason didn't move that time. All right. Where are you this
I'm
time?
Down here with Doug. I'm in the great state of Texas again, in Amarillo.
All right. And John, will you want to go to Houston Livestock and Rodeo?
If I could cook it, but it looks a lot like Mardi Gras to me from everything I've seen on social media.
I don't have any interest in cooking it, but I guess I would just like to go and hang out. But, you know, what can I tell you? I'm a party girl, like Robin said last week. I'm a party girl. All right, so let's get into the first subject of this evening here, guys. A couple weeks ago, there was a term that we were throwing around in our daily chat on Facebook Messenger that everybody else can't be a part of, but they want to be. And I said, hey, I just saw this term, or I just heard this term from these two ladies who are actually going to be interviewing Friday on the John Cupo show here locally in Cleveland. And they call themselves barbecue entertainers. And so I pitched it to the group. I said, is this a term that you've ever heard? Are we laughing at this? Are we jealous of this? And then the more and more we started to talk about it, we started generating lists and who should be a barbecue entertainer, and is it offensive? Is it not? Is it put down if you're lumped in? And the conversation over the internet ensued, and I said, wow, this would be a great question to start our embedded correspondence with in the month of February. So let's go ahead and start out with this term, barbecue entertainers. So many barbecue personalities are out there right now that barbecue has become an entertainment industry as well as a culinary art. So who has the barbecue talent, and who are the barbecue entertainers, and who are those who entertain with barbecue? Steve, you first.
Okay. You know, when I first heard this, I was so excited, and I still am. The barbecue entertainer, that's a word that never hit me. And
right.
Then when you mentioned it, bam, right in the forehead. And I'm going to tell you what a barbecue entertainer is. And Doug, pay attention, because I know you've struggled with this all week. First, he or she has skills, and I mean a deep background of skills. Somewhere there has to be a daddy, a mama, a grandpa, or uncle, somewhere in the background, and a story that starts, I couldn't see over the firebox, but I remember my grandpa throwing a log after log inside that firebox, and I thought that's where Beelzebub himself lived. And second, a barbecue entertainer has to make us feel good and want to fire up our own pit.
All right.
Just like Tiger Woods wants us to play golf and do all the other stuff. And because barbecue transcends all other culinary mantras, because barbecue is the one thing we have in common with our neighbors, and because barbecue invokes and provokes like no other food group, that is why it lends a hand to those who want to entertain with barbecue as a backdrop. The barbecue entertainment industry, in some respect, John and David, is stronger than barbecue itself. With that being said, here are your top 5 barbecue entertainers in the United States.
Top 5. Oh, can't wait.
Number 5, Ray Lampe, Dr. Barbecue. Do you have a 2-story caricature of your face on the side of a restaurant?
Nope.
I don't think so. Is your picture in every Ace Hardware with a big green egg inside?
No.
Who is? Were you an original barbecue competitor on All-Star Barbecue Showdown and Barbecue Championship Series out on Versus on DVD?
Wow, look at you.
There. I don't think you were, Scooter. Number 4, Myron Mixon. Are you the most recognizable face in competition barbecue? Did you take an arrogant persona and become the face of the barbecue pitmasters? Are you the most interviewed man in all topics barbecue? Do you sell out 10 cooking schools a year at $750 a pop and one for $1,500 a pop?
Ooh.
Myron Mixon does. Number 3 is Melissa Cookston. Anyone lining up at your restaurant? And can you sport an apron with a pig on the front in the afternoon and then give an interview in an evening gown at night and look equally good in both? I don't think so. Number 2, now Greg, you're gonna be surprised at this one.
All right.
Sterling Ball.
Really?
Are you desperately trying to change competition barbecue to include, God forbid, an audience? Are you providing hands-on exhibitions by competitors at contests that you promote? Can you talk about a brisket and Jimi Hendrix in the same paragraph? And are you a lightning rod for praise and criticism wherever you speak. Sterling Ball certainly is. But the number one barbecue entertainer in the United States today is none other than the big guy of whiskey bent barbecue, Chad Ward. Chad started barbecue
No way.
store, never once passing the opportunity to talk barbecue with anyone who asked. He sold at the same time, cooked in contests, then he appeared on local radio stations in Central Florida, local television, then the Food Network, then on network television, all the while talking barbecue and live fire cooking. He didn't promote air fryers and sous vide, just meat and fire. He is so good at it that major manufacturers seek out his advice and expertise. And then to top it off, the man who invented sports journalism entertainment, Dan Patrick, tapped him on the shoulder, teamed up with Chad, and made him the barbecue pitmaster of the Dan Patrick Show. More people see Chad in the afternoon on TV than watch the first moon landing. He is the most entertaining barbecue personality in the United States right now, Chad Ward.
Wow. Well done, Steve.
That.
I mean, we could argue probably 1 through 3 until the rest of the show, but we won't do that because we want to give everybody else a turn. David, what are you thinking about barbecue entertainer?
First, I think, Steve, what a great take. You put a lot of work into that. It sounded great. Absolutely respect that. My take, who cares? We don't need a barbecue entertainer. We don't need, if you love barbecue, the internet allows you to put your passion out there and share it with people. We don't know. I mean, we know Malcolm Reed has trophies. He's the real deal. He's got chops. But I doubt there's anybody out there that's entertaining with barbecue that doesn't at least know what they're doing or know how to cook or have friends and family that tell them they do a great job. I don't know that you can really put a title on somebody, a barbecue entertainer. Just enjoy what you do, go out and share it with people.
Can you not title yourself barbecue entertainer if you want to?
Sure, I guess, but how do you really distinguish who it's like pitmaster? I can call myself pitmaster all I want to, but who knows if I really know how to run a pit? I might be doing it on the internet, but if no one's ever tried my food or I don't have a bunch of trophies, who knows if that's true or not?
All right, John, your take on barbecue entertainer.
Steve is always a tough act to follow. So I kind of take this totally different approach. I looked at what's an entertainer. Well, an entertainer is someone that entertains. What is the definition of entertain? It is someone that provides amusement or enjoyment. At the end of the day, then I go to, are they a barbecue entertainer or do they entertain with barbecue? Well, what is the difference there? What's the semantic difference? It's the same thing. So if, Greg, you, for an example, you're an entertainer. You call yourself a host, but you're an entertainer. You provide me entertainment. Do you entertain with barbecue? Yes. Are you a barbecue entertainer? It's the same thing. Am I missing something here?
Doug? Doug? Doug?
Yeah.
There you are.
Yes. Hello. Great take. Steve. Chad Ward, he is a barbecue entertainer. And David, I totally agree with you. There are some people out there that have 100,000 followers and they can barely cook barbecue. And I've seen this in person. John, I also agree with you in terms of changing the definition a little bit. I took it in terms of not necessarily a barbecue entertainer, someone that entertains barbecue. That's what I think I am from the standpoint of I want people to entertain me. So in terms of, video people, BBQ and Sam Zion are probably 1A and 1B. To your point, Greg, in terms of what she calls herself a media personality. So if that's, somewhat similar to a barbecue entertainer. Early on in your show, Greg, you had Fred Bernardo.
Yes.
And Tasty Licks barbecue team.
Right.
I actually started watching some of his videos early on, and he was very entertaining, if you recall him. So obviously we've got Meathead, who does I don't really watch many of the videos. From a technical standpoint, I do watch the NBBQ the National Barbecue League. I do watch some of those videos because they I do learn a few things from them. Now, from a TV perspective, who are the entertainer people that entertain barbecue people? Obviously, Bobby Flay. I mean, Bobby Flay does entertain me. His Beat Bobby Flay, I love to watch that. Michael Simon, Alton Brown. I've come to like Roger Moving to a certain degree. His man.
All right, Doug, I got to cut you off. I got to cut you off, Doug. Your internet connection absolutely blows. You're well behind. You're cutting out. You're Darth Vadering. I'm just about ready to blow my top because this is a great thing, and you're fucking it all up, and I've had enough. So can you hang up and call back in, please? Hang back up and call back in. Let's see if we can reconnect here. Put the jetpack on, for crying out loud. We got really important things to talk about.
All right.
Jeez.
And I'm the one in the hotel.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, guess what, David? You kind of sound like shit, so let's not get all on the fence. All right, here we go.
We can't sound worse than Sterling did last week.
Oh, Sterling just sounds bad, and he uses a phone. That's all right.
All right.
He's the third. What's his rating, Steve?
2.
He's the second most popular guy what is he? He's the second most influential. He's the second most barbecue entertainer or person ever. Where did Doug go? Did Doug just quit the show? Did he just leave?
Yes.
I just told him to hang up and call back.
He retired live.
God, way to go. That's a walk-off shot right there. Hold on. Let me put myself up in Doug's background.
He
here,
went
and then
off to turn the rotor on the antenna and point it toward town.
Got it. Here I am, everybody. I'm over here in Doug's spot. I'll just take him for now. I can do that. If you guys need to step out and take a piss or something, I'll just go ahead and stick myself right in your square here. All right. Well, I mean, I guess Doug is going to come back at some point. I will weigh in. You know, the reason that I wanted to talk about this is because I think that there is this really weird thing. Oh, wait, here he comes back. Oh, shit. Now I'm moving the whole damn thing around. Sorry, Doug. Hold on.
My fault.
Let me move myself out of the way there. So, all right, go continue. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I've grown to like Roger Mooking from Man Fire Food, but it's more about the unique settings that he does, different types of grills, things like that. And on Barbecue Pitmasters, Michael Character is one. He could hardly cook worth the darn, or at least it seems so on the show. But he could hit a golf ball into the lake. But other than that, he was someone that entertained barbecue cookers.
Was he a golfer?
Yeah, at that one contest that he pulled out the golf club and started hitting golf balls into the lake because he thought he could hit it over the lake.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Steve, do you remember that? You're a historian of barbecue television.
No, well.
Oh, all right.
No, that was on the Barbecue Pit Wars.
Got it. All right,
season 1.
Here's my take on barbecue entertainer. You know here's the genesis of the term. I was watching Maddie and Kiki, and they were outside wherever they are at in Canada, and they were on the street. It was like man on the street, but in their case, women on the street, and they were like giving out free turkeys or free chickens, like random acts of barbecue kindness or whatever they do once a week with these big laundry type baskets. And they were introducing themselves to the randos on the street that they were stopping as, hey, I'm Maddie, this is Kiki, we're barbecue entertainers. And it was the first time I'd ever heard that term. I said, well, what the hell is barbecue entertainer? So I started watching, I started digging back through, and I thought to myself, well, can we put a definition on barbecue? Since we didn't coin the phrase, I'm going to go ahead and say that Maddie and Kiki have coined the phrase barbecue entertainer. Unless somebody can sit here and tell me any different, I'm going to live underneath a rock and say that these two Canadians have coined the phrase barbecue entertainer, and we'll just start from there. So then I said, well, let's define barbecue entertainer. And more importantly, since it's coming from them on definition, what is their skill set? have they accomplished something of note? Should I know who they are? If I wasn't on Instagram and I still did this show and I had no social media presence whatsoever, would I know them? The answer is a resounding no. I don't live in Canada. I'm not around that particular area, so I would have to factor that I would not know who they are. But I know a lot of these other people that I would assume are entertainers and kind of have barbecue stuff. So that was kind of the genesis of why I wanted to have this conversation. But the more I wanted to make my own list, so they're tops of my list since they're the folks that I'm going to go ahead and say created this term Maddie and Kiki. But then you have other folks. So, for instance, would you agree or disagree, and just raise your hand if you agree, that Michael McDearman is a barbecue entertainer? Agree or disagree? Okay, so everybody disagrees. Steve agrees. Steve agrees that McDearman is a barbecue entertainer. All right. So, like Doug and David and John, you would just put him in as a normal live fire guy.
I put him as an MC of an event at best. He's an MC.
Okay. Then on my list, I had. Go ahead.
I put him in as a marketer. He's a good marketer.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that.
But that can bleed over into entertaining, correct? Marketing, entertaining, no?
Some people. I don't find him very entertaining, no. I think he's a good marketer, though.
Okay. Then I have this guy. I don't know if you remember him. So this would be on season 2 of Barbecue Pitmasters. Not season 1, but season 2. Kevin Roberts. Do you remember Kevin Roberts? He was the host when they turned Barbecue Pitmasters into that terrible chopped version of Barbecue Pitmasters. He's the one that coined the phrase good smoking luck that everybody loves to say now and continue to pander fun at this guy. Kevin Roberts, to me, would be in that bill of barbecue entertainer. For instance, promoting the show Barbecue Pitmasters, he was on the Today Show and willingly let fly out of his pie hole that he boils his ribs. Said it on national television. I boil these ribs for about a half an hour to get them going. That's Kevin Roberts. Now, here's where it gets a little dicey. How about John Marcus? Is John Marcus a barbecue entertainer? He is providing an incredible amount of entertainment that is sewn around barbecue. He's done movies about the troops overseas, barbecue, or the Kings of Barbecue, Barbecue Kuwait, that is focusing on troop relations, but is also exposing, at the time, the best barbecue pitmasters that we kind of knew about, and making a film about tying it all into barbecue. How about Mo Kason? Is he a barbecue entertainer? I would say he's a barbecue entertainer. What about Myron Mixon? Steve already agrees that Myron Mixon is a barbecue entertainer. I would say, what about Chris Lilly? Is Chris Lilly a barbecue entertainer? Do people not want to put him in there because he's won 57,000 Memphis in Mays? He's also won a bunch of different sanctioning bodies. But remember, he has hosted barbecue television shows, really bad ones that were on the Food Network, where Famous Dave broke his stick trying to run to the refrigerated food cart like all the rest of those maniacs in that show. And that was a horrible show. He hosted that show. He hosted the very first Kingsford Invitational in the middle of nowhere, Missouri. He was the host of that. So I would say, if we're going on this definition, barbecue entertainer. And what about all those guys in the National Barbecue League? Barbecue entertainers, videos, how-tos, showing themselves get shit-faced at contests, doing all this exposure work. That's entertainment. You can watch them. You can follow them. That's probably entertainment too. It's a really hard term to define, so let's quickly race around the room. Steve, as well as you did and as well-crafted as your take was, should we immediately eliminate barbecue entertainer from the lexicon of America, yes or no?
No, because I said it in my rant, Greg. I said barbecue entertainment is becoming bigger than barbecue itself. It's part of what we do. We cook, we learn to cook, and then we, for some reason, we want to spread the word. And the four of us, the five of us, are barbecue entertainers to some extent. It's part of the aura of barbecue for some reason. it's in our blood that we want to spread it, and it's a good thing, no matter if you're good at it or bad at it. I think it's a great thing.
David, eliminate or keep barbecue entertainer?
Eliminate.
Eliminate.
It can't be clearly defined. So what good is it?
John, eliminate or keep?
Keep it, because it can be clearly defined, and Maddie and Kiki own it in my mind. So, and it can be defined. There's a dictionary. We can define it. They own it. If nothing else, they deserve the right. They brought it, and I can't wait till Friday to find out their take on it.
Doug, keep or leave barbecue entertainer?
Yeah, I was almost convinced to keep it, but I'm still with my original premise. Eliminate it. It's people that entertain barbecuers, which I think is better.
All right. I say eliminate as well. I don't like it. I think it's a weird term. I don't really get it. I don't know why it was even made up. But as John said, we will do our best to get to the bottom of it this coming Friday on WINT as I rejoin the John Cupo show as a guest. All right. You guys hang out for a second. I went way over on my barbecue entertainer segment thing. Hang out. I'll get back to you. I'll talk to you quickly about Green Mountain Grills. In case you missed the first hour, we had an extensive interview with Jason Baker from Green Mountain Grills, the website greenmountaingrills.com, and we talked a lot about their new Prime line of cookers. Prime, heavier chassis. You got the storage shelf underneath the chassis. You got the heavier all-around feel of the cookers themselves. 12-volt power, which is helping with motor control. That's increasing your pellet efficiency. Now, there weren't hard numbers put on it, but I believe Jason said that there were some pretty outstanding reports. Why MMV? Try it out for yourself. Same cooking capacity as the classic models. Got the pellet hopper window. You got a window on the cooking chamber door so you can look down in it. Jason says easy to clean. Of course, that was my major concern, as having a grill that has a Lexan plastic something or other that is now completely smoked out and is impossible to clean. I was worried about that. Jason says, hey, little steel wool and some soap and water, and it'll clean up just like nice. So we'll see about that. A lot of great improvements. Check it out if you're in the market. greenmountaingrills.com. That's greenmountaingrills.com. You have the Jim Bowie and the Daniel Boone Prime line. You have the Jim Bowie and the Daniel Boone Classic. And, of course, you have the Davy Crockett, which is the portable one. That was the inventing of the 12-volt model. Burning the wood pellets and can go wherever you want. greenmountaingrills.com. We are back with the embedded correspondent. Stick around. Be right back.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rampey.
And this portion brought to you by Fireboard. Monitor up to 6 different temperatures simultaneously. Connect to Wi-Fi for cloud-based monitoring, or connect via Bluetooth if you want. If you have Alexa or the Google Assistant in your home, you're in luck, because Fireboard fully integrated with both. Find out more by visiting fireboard.com or call 816-945-2232. And we are back with the embedded correspondence, as we just got done defining barbecue entertainer. All right, enough of that. We have a handful of minutes left to get into the second topic here, which is this. Barbecue's most recognizable names, not Pitmaster related, don't seem to compete in anything live fire. Is that something that needs to happen in order to lend any kind of legitimacy to their name and or legacy? For instance, Bobby Flay, Michael Simon, Guy Fieri, Steven Reichlin, Dr. Barbecue, Meathead, me, you, whatever. Does there need to be some type of competition in something during their career to lend them an extra level of legitimacy, whatever that means to you? And we'll start with David.
No, not at all. Barbecue competition is only one aspect of barbecue. You can be a legend at a lot of things. You can make absolutely great tasting barbecue. You can contribute a lot to barbecue and cooking in general and never have to step foot into a competition arena. Especially with the price of competition going up, so many different sanctioning bodies with so many different rules. I just think the barrier to entry is now increasing, and I don't think it's necessary for somebody to compete in barbecue to be a noteworthy barbecue icon.
John, your thoughts?
I think competition barbecue is much different than what we do in the backyard, and most competition people will agree with that. So I don't think someone winning a barbecue competition lends any credence to them teaching me or entertaining me about what I'm going to do in the backyard.
Steve?
No, they don't. You don't need to compete at all. Competing in cooking food for a contest is you're not cooking much food. They're, as far as cooks go, they're easy. The hard thing about doing barbecues when you do one for, 30 people. That's when it gets hard. That's when you're, prepping, 50 butts, pulling 50 butts when it's over. That's hard. That's what makes you, I think, a real pit master. There's a lot of people, and in some respect, I'm one of them. I can do 4 meats pretty good, and that's about it. So, and just being a contest cook doesn't mean anything other than you can cook 4 meats pretty good. It's I think a guy like a Darren Worth that owns a restaurant, Chris Lilly, those guys that are restaurateurs that do it for a living, Melissa Cookston, Myron, Ray, to some extent, they're the ones that are the real. They can hang that moniker of barbecue entertainer on their back and wear it with confidence because they've earned it probably more than anybody.
Doug, your thoughts? Does there need to be any type of competition that takes place over some of these well-known names?
I think it helps with a pedigree. So I think a background helps in terms of if you are a competition cook and you've done well, et cetera. I think that gives you an advantage. Now, the other people like that you mentioned, Flay and Simon, et cetera, they're trained culinary chefs. We as cooks, barbecue cooks or whatever, we can always learn from them. Sam Zion, et cetera. Dr. Barbecue, he's competed, not recently, but probably no better example is Meathead and Stephen Reichlin. Stephen Reichlin in all of his books and Meathead in all of his research and debunking myths, etc. Those are probably 2 of the people that have done so much research. Reichlin traveling all around the world, and Meathead in his scientific experiments. I think that's exhibit 1A and 1B of why you don't necessarily need to be a competition cook.
If they won out, I've heard, I should ask Meathead the next time that he is on, but I think I recall him saying that there was no benefit for him to go out and compete, especially if he went out to some contest and he fell on his face, to the point where I think he was saying it could potentially be detrimental for him and the brand, or if he went out and he got smacked around, that for some reason legitimacy would drop off. He wouldn't gain it by just showing up and trying, that if he got smacked around a little bit, legitimacy would drop off. John, do you think that should weigh in at all, or do you think that's just him being a little bit more self-absorbed?
If I was him, I'd be in the same boat. And what's to prove? Competition's not what he's giving us. It's not the same product. It's barbecue, but it's not the same. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I'm all for him. I wouldn't do it either. I'm sticking with Meathead.
Steve, do you think that it would hurt Meathead if he got smacked around at a contest?
Might hurt his feelings. I wouldn't think anything less of him because I know what contests are like firsthand. So no, it wouldn't. It wouldn't with me. It wouldn't matter one way or the other. I'd still respect him.
What about you, David?
It's a tough question because if he's going to take the chance to compete, he's saying, "Hey, I can compete. I want to be a competitor." If he got smacked around, yeah, maybe he doesn't have the competition chops. I'd say it'd be better, not to compete and leave what his legacy is, which is researcher, educator, etc.
Yeah, I'm tying up a little bit on this one because obviously I feel the number of emails during the course of the week that say, hey, why don't you go out and compete? You talk to all these top level competitors and you should go out and compete and see what it's like. And I've always maintained that what I do is completely separate from cooking. Certainly, I feel I have a certain skill set in the backyard, and the folks that I live around seem to enjoy what I'm cooking, and I'll take any of their free kudos in exchange for the free food that they're eating. But what are they going to tell me, that it sucks and they're still going to come and eat my free food? Probably not, which we kind of all realize as we do this whole cooking thing. But also, if I had a yearning to test my barbecue up against somebody else, then of course I would go ahead and start to look at competing. But I just don't have any internal fire in that regard to say, well, I want to see where my barbecue stacks up with everybody else. I don't give a shit where my barbecue stacks up with everybody else. I'm pretty happy with what I have, and that's it. I don't need to go out and see where's, because what I would be cooking at a competition isn't what I would be cooking at home. And I don't know if I want to spend that money at this point to go around and get smacked. I'm not worried about looking foolish. Of course, I would go in there and probably get smacked down pretty handily. And I would know that going into. I mean, there's no doubt about it. So that's why. Now, steak competition, that is a little bit different. And I would say there's a 99% chance that I'm going to go and do the Steak Cook-Off Association competition that's going to be in Hartville in mid-June this coming year, just to try it out. But again, I'm not going to be I'm putting myself at an immediate disadvantage. I'm not going to go and tie my steak up in a string and do all this weirdo trimming stuff. I am going to season it and all that good stuff, but I'm not going to try and blend in with everybody. And probably in Hartville, I can get away with just doing an overall browning of the meat instead of having to lay on the grill marks, because those judges aren't probably accustomed to seeing a lot of Steak Cook-Off Association events anyway, so I can probably get away with doing it. Doug, you're shaking your head. You think I'm off base on that?
Don't they show pictures of steaks with grill marks and the striping?
You know, I don't know if they show the outside or if it's just the inside that they show for judging doneness.
And do they have to be kind of trained in some way, shape, or form, or they're trained on the spot?
It might be like a night before kind of a thing, maybe.
Yeah. So I think they show striping on the steaks in terms of, oh, this looks good.
Well, now I'm worried.
Yeah, Greg, you need to be striping and you need to be tying that steak too.
Well,
I mean, don't go down, don't go up there.
No,
Steve, congratulations. You've talked me out of it.
No.
You've talked me out of it.
No.
Why do
I think you need to check on the striping, though.
Let me tell you what I think. I think we don't need to be conforming. I think we need to be we need to be rewarding out of the box. We need to be rewarding creativity. We don't need to be having another fort conforming again to where you feel if you got to step. You should never feel like stepping out of the box is going to penalize you to the point where you're not going to win or you don't want to risk.
It will, Greg. It's not an art gallery. It's a contest.
Yeah, but you know what? The very first competition I competed in, I took the better part of my life growing up trying to develop chicken with crispy skin. That's what I like to eat. Everybody wants it. I go into a contest. The judge, and I knew nothing about competition barbecue. The judge remarks, "Your skin was too crispy." Come on, get out of here. The bite through skin is this made up thing. Nobody really wants to eat bite through skin. I want crispy skin, and that's penalized. I don't understand. That almost single-handedly let me realize competitions are not how I cook for my friends and family. That's not how I want to eat.
Well, if you're going to compete, you got to, though, David. I mean, you can.
Fair enough. That's why I don't want to compete.
Okay.
I'm with Greg.
It's Hartville.
Okay.
It's Hartville. It's the first SCA in Ohio. He's got a good shot. Let him try it. Do it, Greg. Go down there. Do it. I'm ready to come down there and do it too. I'm going to bring a Weber kettle. I hate grill grates. I don't go down. You can do it. It's Hartville. They don't understand. You got a shot, man. I'll sponsor you to go.
Well, I can do it. I live right here for crying out loud. Thank you, John. Wow. But it's Steve's fault. He talked me out of it, so you have to take it up with him.
No.
All right, quickly,
Steve
we're rapidly running out of time, just like 2019 is rapidly coming to a close. So is our monthly segment. Guys, and we'll start with Doug. If you were a billionaire and you had a proclivity for hookers, what would be your process in securing said hookers?
Boy, this is a great PC conversation. So, number one, you never put yourself in this kind of situation. I don't even like to watch those shows like The Affair and stuff like that, where there's cheating and stuff like that. It makes me nervous and I don't like it. But I did research. If I was a billionaire, I would go to countries where it's legal. And there are 15 countries where that sort of activity is somewhat or all the way legal. Denmark, Finland, Costa Rica, Argentina, Canada, it's Belgium, Belize, France, Germany, Greece, Italy, Switzerland, the Netherlands, Mexico, and Spain. So yeah, write them down, fellas. Write them down. That's where I would go, where it's legal.
John, your take?
I didn't give up much thought. First of all, I'm going to maintain plausible deniability. I'm hiring Greg Rempe to be my whole bag man, and then I'm good. He's going to take care of the stuff. I don't know nothing. I just thought she loved me because I was a millionaire.
Billionaire, John. Billionaire with a B.
Sorry.
Billionaire.
Simple.
That's right.
You're my whole bag man, Greg.
John, or I'm sorry, David, your thoughts?
All I'll say is if I was a billionaire, it wouldn't be much different than it is for me now. I'd do it the same way.
Do you want to shed some light on that, David?
I'm sorry?
Do you want to shed some more light on that?
No, not at all. I just wouldn't change a thing.
All right. Steve, your take?
Man, I don't know. You know, he's got 7 rings now, 6 Super Bowl rings and a prostitution ring. So,
oh boy.
you know, I've never even been to a strip club. I don't know anything about that stuff.
All right. Well, here's my advice. If I was a billionaire and I had a proclivity for hookers, I would not be going down to Jupiter, Florida, to some strip mall where there's, and this is the worst part of the whole story here, guys. I mean, all kidding aside here on the whole hooker side of things and whatever that means to Mr. Kraft. I mean, there's a whole sex ring and human trafficking ring that they're exploring here right now, that a lot of these women could have been being held against their will. I mean, from a humanitarian standpoint, I mean, that is absolutely tragic and terrible and one of the worst things that could happen. Women being held against their will, being forced to perform sex acts on dudes that probably know what's going on. That is horrible. All that aside, if I was a billionaire and I had a proclivity for hookers, I would fuel up my G650 because I'm a billionaire and I can afford the 650, and I would fly to Nevada. Hello. I would wait the 1.5 hours it would take to fly from where I am in Cleveland to jet out to Las Vegas, where prostitution is legal, and I would buy out the Bunny Ranch or whatever whore house I can afford to buy out for the weekend and just go absolutely bonkers. And then I would fly back to Cleveland and resume regular life. What is this guy doing?
Get that big stuff out of here.
Oh, my Lord. Anyway.
Orchids of Asia.
Orchids of Asia. Wow.
2.5 rating on Yelp.
Well, they better crank it up. Anyway, the 4th Tuesday of the month, you can find the embedded correspondents giving great advice on if you were a billionaire and you liked hookers, or in David's case, nothing would change. Things would stay as they are. Good for you, Dave. Congratulations. It's the embedded correspondent segment, guys. Appreciate it, and we will see you again next month. There they are. The embedded correspondent. Doug, Steve, David, John. Let me get out of there. Let me run this, and we are ready to go. Brian Guerrero, speak the knowledge, Greg. Of course. Of course. I mean, how hard is it? You can't be that guy and put yourself in that situation twice in successive days. It's like Jim Rome was saying the other day. The first time, maybe you get away with it. The second time you show up, that's hard to explain. I don't understand how you put yourself in that spot. All right, stick around. We will wrap the show right after this.
Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. Thanks again to the embedded correspondents, Doug Scheiding from Texas, Steve Ray from Oklahoma, David Huff. Steve Ray from Tennessee, David Huff from Oklahoma, John Solberg from Michigan, covering mostly barbecue entertainer. So if you're just tuning in now, you will get it on podcast this coming Thursday, and a new Best Moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less on Friday. First hour will be released in a matter of minutes,
Burns
pretty much.
From Melbourne,
all right, Jimmy
Ohio,
Burns.
And you're listening to Barbecue Central.
Legal ID that is not required by the internet. And we head out all the way back in the first hour. It was Jason Baker, Green Mountain Grills, talking about the prime line, the big pig, what is now the choice line, where the differences are. We also talked with Matt Eads, the Grillseeker, grillseeker.com. Don't forget to join the hashtag United by Flame movement. His new book, Grillseeker's Basic Training for Everyday Grilling, drops April 9th. You can pre-order right now on Amazon. You can go to my website and click on the Grillseeker logo, and that will take you right to it. And then in the second hour, it was embedded correspondence, talking about barbecue entertainers, seeing if having to compete lends any more legitimacy to some of the most recognizable barbecue names out there currently. And also what you would do if you liked hookers and you were a billionaire. How would you handle that? Big show planned for you next week already. We will be into the last month of the first quarter of 2019. Ray Lampe joins me. Malcolm Reed joins me, as well as others. September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. Until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, this is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.